Have you ever caught yourself looking in the mirror and thinking, wow, I don't recognize that person anymore? Maybe you feel like time is moving faster than ever, and you're struggling to keep up. One moment, you're feeling young and full of life, and the next, you're wondering where the years have gone. If that sounds familiar, I want you to know, you are not alone. Aging anxiety is real and it affects so many people. But here's the truth. Getting older doesn't mean your best days are behind you. In fact, with the right mindset shifts, you can embrace this stage of life with confidence, joy, and a sense of freedom you may have never had before. Today, we're going to talk about 4 powerful mindset shifts that can help you let go of fear, stop worrying about aging, and start truly enjoying life. These are simple but life-changing adjustments in the way you think about aging, and once you make them, you'll feel lighter, happier, and more at peace with yourself. Let's start with the first one. Think back to when you were a kid. Remember how excited you were to grow up? You looked forward to birthdays, new experiences, and becoming more independent. But somewhere along the way, society convinced us that aging is something to fear, something to fight against. We see commercials for anti-aging creams, hear jokes about over-the-hill birthdays, and suddenly, growing older doesn't seem so exciting anymore. But what if we flipped that perspective? What if, instead of seeing aging as something to dread, we saw it as something to celebrate? The first mindset shift is this. Aging is not about decline, it's about evolution. Think about it. Every single stage of life comes with its own set of challenges and joys. In your 20s, you were probably figuring out your career and relationships. In your 30s and 40s, you might have been raising a family, working hard, juggling responsibilities. And now, you have something you didn't have back then. Wisdom, experience, the ability to see what truly matters and let go of the small stuff. Instead of worrying about the years passing, try asking yourself, what have I gained? Maybe you've become more patient. Maybe you've learned to say no to things that don't bring you joy. Maybe you've discovered a new passion that you never had time for before. These are all gifts of aging. There's a reason people say, if I knew then what I know now. Imagine if you could go back in time and give your younger self advice. What would you say? Would you tell yourself to stress less, to appreciate the little moments more, to stop worrying about things that don't matter? Well, here's the good news. You can do that now. You don't have to be stuck in a mindset of loss. Instead, focus on what you gain as you age. And once you do that, you'll start to see aging not as an ending, but as an incredible new chapter. That brings us to the second mindset shift. One of the biggest fears people have about getting older is the idea that they're becoming less valuable. Maybe you've retired and you're wondering, what's my purpose now? Or maybe you feel like younger generations don't see you the same way anymore. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking, am I still relevant? Do I still matter? The answer is yes. And the second mindset shift is this. Your worth is not defined by what you do, but by who you are. For most of our lives, we measure success by doing. We focus on accomplishments, productivity, and responsibilities. But as you get older, life invites you to shift that focus from doing to being. Think about the people you love and admire most. Is it because of what they've achieved? Or is it because of their kindness, their wisdom, their presence? You matter not because of a job title or a role you play, but because of who you are at your core. This stage of life is an opportunity to embrace that. Instead of worrying about proving your worth, focus on sharing your wisdom, your stories, and your experiences. Mentor someone younger. Connect with others in meaningful ways. Engage in things that bring you joy, not because they're productive, but because they make you feel alive. And if you ever feel like the world is moving too fast, like technology and trends are changing and leaving you behind, remember this. The world will always need experience, wisdom, and human connection. These are things that never go out of style. So, take a deep breath. Let go of the pressure to be who you were 20 years ago. You don't need to chase relevance. You already are relevant just by being you. Now, let's take that idea even further. If you've ever felt like your best days are behind you, like life is slowing down and there's less to look forward to, I have something to share with you. If you've ever felt like your best days are behind you, like life is slowing down and there's less to look forward to, I want you to pause for a moment and ask yourself this. Who told you that? Because here's the thing. So much of our fear around aging doesn't actually come from experience. It comes from expectation. Society has told us over and over again that growing older means becoming weaker, lonelier, or less important. And when we hear something enough times, we start to believe it. But what if I told you that's not the truth? The third mindset shift is this: your future is still yours to create. I want you to think about a time in your life when you were excited about the future. Maybe it was when you were starting a new job, moving to a new place, or even just planning a vacation. That feeling, that anticipation, that curiosity doesn't have to disappear just because you've reached a certain age. The problem is many people fall into the trap of passively aging. They think, well, this is just how it is now, and they stop actively creating their future. But no matter how old you are, you still have the ability to shape what's ahead of you. You still have choices, opportunities, and new experiences waiting for you. Look at people who continue to thrive well into their 70s, 80s, and beyond. What do they have in common? They keep moving forward. They keep learning, trying new things, and embracing change. They refuse to let their past define their future. So let me ask you, what's something you've always wanted to do but never did? Maybe you wanted to learn a new skill, travel somewhere new, start a small business, or even write a book. Why not now? You don't need permission to live your life fully. The moment you realize that you still have time to create, to explore, and to grow, you take back control. You start living again. And that brings us to something really important, because even if you embrace the idea that your future is still in your hands, there's one more mental shift that will completely change the way you see aging. One of the biggest reasons people fear getting older is because they believe it means losing the people and things they love. Maybe you've experienced loss of relationships, of abilities, of certain freedoms, and that can be incredibly hard. But the fourth mindset shift is this: happiness comes from adaptation, not attachment. Life is always changing. We change. The people around us change. And the more we try to hold on to things exactly as they were, the more we suffer. But the people who age with the most peace and joy, they've learned how to adapt. Think about it. When you were younger, you probably experienced big changes all the time. Maybe you moved to a new city, switched careers, or had to start over in some way. And at the time, it might have felt scary, but you adjusted. You figured it out. Aging is no different. It's just another phase of life that requires a shift in perspective. Instead of focusing on what's no longer the same, focus on what's still possible. Instead of resisting change, embrace it. For example, maybe you can't do certain physical activities the way you used to, but you can find new ways to stay active that suit your body now. Maybe some relationships have changed, but you can build new ones with people who align with your current stage of life. When you learn to adapt, you stop fearing change. And when you stop fearing change, you open yourself up to a life that is so much bigger than the one you thought was possible. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Aging isn't about losing, it's about shifting. Shifting your mindset, shifting your habits, and shifting the way you see yourself. And when you make these shifts, you don't just overcome aging anxiety, you embrace this stage of life with more confidence, more joy, and more freedom than ever before. Now that you understand how powerful these mindset shifts can be, let's talk about what happens when you actually start living this way. Because the truth is, shifting your mindset isn't just about thinking differently. It's about feeling differently, acting differently, and ultimately, experiencing life differently. And here's something incredible that happens when you stop fearing aging and start embracing it. You begin to see opportunity instead of limitation. Think about this. How much time and energy do we waste worrying about getting older? Worrying about wrinkles, worrying about what others think, worrying about things that haven't even happened yet? What if, instead of seeing aging as something to fear, you saw it as something to enjoy? When you embrace the idea that your future is still yours to create, you stop waiting for life to happen to you. You start happening to life. You wake up with purpose. You look forward to things again. You give yourself permission to dream, to try, to experience more. And the best part? You realize that happiness isn't something that fades with age. It's something that grows, as long as you let it. But here's where most people get stuck. They hear these ideas, they get inspired for a moment, and then they fall right back into old habits. Why? Because the fear of change is often stronger than the desire for something better. This is why the most important thing you can do right now is take action, even if it's small, even if it's just one thing. So let's start here. What is one thought, one belief, or one worry about aging that has been holding you back? Maybe it's the idea that you're too old to try something new. Maybe it's the fear that you're running out of time. Maybe it's the belief that the best parts of life are behind you. Now challenge that thought. Ask yourself, is this really true? Or is this just something I've been told to believe? Because here's what I know. People who embrace life at every age don't do it because they're lucky. They do it because they choose to see aging differently. They choose to take care of themselves. They choose to seek out new experiences. They choose to let go of what they can't control and focus on what they can. And that's exactly what you can do too. So here's my challenge for you. Starting today, take one step toward embracing this stage of life instead of resisting it. Maybe it's signing up for that class you've been putting off. Maybe it's reaching out to someone new. Maybe it's simply waking up tomorrow and telling yourself, I am not too old to live fully. Because the truth is, the quality of your life is not determined by your age. It's determined by your mindset. And the moment you stop fearing aging, you start truly living. So if this message resonated with you, let me know in the comments. What's one thing you're excited to do or change moving forward? And if you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more ways to live your best life at any age. Here's to embracing this stage of life with confidence, joy, and a whole lot of possibility. See you in the next one.